Beneath the weight of the earth, 3 miners, Ray, Steve, and Tony, and also a supervisor, Sherry, are thrust into a maze of tunnels drawn by the promise of overtime pay. Yet as they delve deeper, they uncover something beyond their comprehension, an ancient secret sealed within the cold stone. The treasure, gleaming like a cruel mockery of fortune, whispers of riches. But as their hands grasp the gold, an overwhelming sensation takes root, one that is not of hunger but of dread. A presence ancient and unfathomable stirs in the darkness. The troll watches from the shadows, its gaze a weight upon their souls. As their greed festers, their minds unravel, one by one. They are no longer men, but mere instruments of their own foolishness, trapped by the very thing they sought to possess. In the face of the troll's relentless pursuit, they realized too late that the gold was never theirs to claim. It was only ever a trap designed to draw them in, to break them, to consume them. And so, they are left in an endless cycle, a prison of their own making, where the prize they coveted slips further away and the terror of the troll becomes their only truth. What they once thought was a reward is now their torment. A reminder that in the end, it is not the gold that enslaves them, but their own blind hunger. The workers, laborers caught within the rusted cogs of the indifferent machine were no different from those before them. It was by accident, perhaps fate, that they stumbled upon a cavern of gold, shiny, seductive, and endlessly desirable. But what was this treasure if not an illusion? An empty promise that would lead them further into the labyrinth of their own making. They approached it as they had approached all things in life, with the desperate, insatiable need to escape their labor, their daily toil, their insurmountable poverty. The gold was not an answer, it was a question, one they would never truly be able to answer because they did not understand what they were asking. The troll, however, seemed to know. It lurked in the shadows of their minds, the uninvited reality that greeted them with the same indifferent cruelty as their daily existence. The troll was not merely a beast guarding treasure. It was the embodiment of the system that controlled them, the oppressive weight of the world they could never escape. Each step they took toward the gold was a step deeper into a trap of their own creation. The treasure promised freedom, but the closer they got, the more suffocating the air became. There was a palpable alienation in the workers' journey, an awareness they did not fully grasp. The gold itself, a commodity, was no longer a thing. It was a mirror reflecting their desire, their desperation. What they saw in it was not value but emptiness, and yet it beckoned them, pulling them ever forward. They were no longer men, just cogs, pieces in a puzzle they could not understand or complete. In their minds, the treasure would fill the void. It would end the toil, the oppression. But even as they reached for it, they felt something slip from their grasp. Was it themselves, or was it only their humanity that was being extracted, piece by piece, like the layers of a peeling wall? The troll, its grotesque presence always lurking, a reminder of their impotence, was a constant reflection of the capitalist machine. It was not merely an external threat, it was a manifestation of the very system that had created their misery. The more they tried to claim their prize, the more the troll seemed to grow, its shadow stretching longer over the gold over them. The workers did not know what they were up against. How could they? The very forces they sought to conquer had been embedded into the world they inhabited, invisible but omnipresent, like the air they breathed. The gold had become a fetish, not a treasure. It was a symbol of everything they were not, a life they would never have, a freedom they would never know. As the workers fought for possession of the gold, they were not engaged in a struggle with the troll. No, they were struggling against the inescapable forces of commodity fetishism. The gold was not a physical thing, it was a promise, a distorted reflection of what they thought would save them. What would it save them from? Themselves? The troll? Or perhaps it was from the abyss that had always awaited them, the abyss that capitalism had promised would be filled with gold, but instead was only deepened by it. Their journey, marked by violence and futile desires, was a microcosm of a greater tragedy, a tragedy that was unfolding beyond their understanding. For the workers, there was no escape. Even when they fought, even when they thought they had won, when they believed they had captured their prize, they were already trapped. The gold had never been theirs. It belonged to the system, to the forces that shaped their lives, to the troll they could never defeat. The deeper they reached for it, the more they sank into the quicksand of their own desires. This episode excels in creating an atmosphere of foreboding tension. The cinematography draws heavily from the classic horror genre, with the dark, claustrophobic cave becoming a physical manifestation of the workers' psychological descent. The troll, though initially an external threat, slowly becomes more representative of the workers' internal fears and self-deception. The pacing of the episode is deliberate, with the tension gradually building as the workers' illusions are shattered one by one. The slow, inevitable realization that the treasure they covet will be their own undoing mirrors the creeping sense of dread that permeates the episode. In the end, they were no different from the millions of others caught in the web of capitalism, endlessly chasing an illusion, sacrificing everything for an empty prize. The troll's triumph was not in its physical strength, it was in its very existence as a reminder that the pursuit of gold, of wealth, was not a means to an end, but a way of reinforcing the self-perpetuating cycle of capitalism. The workers, like all others before them, were doomed to repeat the same mistakes, to chase the same illusions, forever lost in a maze they could never hope to escape. The workers' discovery of the gold serves as a catalyst for exploring deep-seated desires and the consequences of unchecked greed. The gold is not just a commodity, it symbolizes the human compulsion to gain material wealth, often at the cost of one's integrity or well-being. Psychologists might link this to his psychological theories of materialism and the hedonic treadmill. People in modern society are constantly striving for more, only to find that achieving their desires often leads to more dissatisfaction. The workers' frantic obsession with the treasure reflects a failure to recognize the emotional and psychological cost of material pursuits. The troll might be interpreted as a manifestation of the workers' own subconscious fears and trauma. Psychologically, this reflects how individuals project their unresolved inner turmoil onto external threats, which in this case is the troll. It can also represent the paradoxical nature of trauma, where the pursuit of something like wealth can be driven by a fear of the trauma of being without it. Psychologists would argue that the workers' internalized fear drives their reckless actions, leading them to make decisions that are harmful in the pursuit of relief. The workers' single-minded pursuit of the gold represents an external locus of control, the belief that happiness and fulfillment come from external possessions rather than internal well-being. This might be linked to depression and anxiety, common among those who prioritize material wealth over meaningful emotional or social connections. This failure to find peace or satisfaction in the treasure can be seen as a critique of the materialistic values that dominate society and the emotional emptiness that often follows the relentless pursuit of wealth. One of the episode's more subtle but powerful themes is the group mentality that drives the workers. Their shared pursuit of the gold leads them to dismiss any rational fears, and as a result to make poor, collectively irrational decisions. The workers' group dynamic encapsulates the dangers of groupthink, where individual critical thinking is sacrificed for the sake of conformity and collective desire. Each man feeds off the other's desire for treasure, and their increasingly desperate actions mirror how individuals, when placed in high-stakes situations, can collectively fall into destructive patterns. The troll, standing as a reminder of both external and internal consequences, is a perfect foil to the workers' unity, forcing them to confront their basest instincts in the face of an unforgiving threat. In the end, Fool's Gold shows us just how far we'll go chasing empty dreams, all while ignoring the deeper, more meaningful things right in front of us. The treasure isn't just gold, it's the illusion of escape, the desperate need to break free from a life that feels too small. But as the workers discover, no amount of treasure can fill the void of personal reflection, and sometimes, the thing you're running toward is the thing that'll pull you under. The troll lurking in the shadows isn't just a monster, it's a mirror reflecting the greed, fear, and selfishness that we all battle with. It's a reminder that when we let our desires rule us, we become the very thing we fear. The workers' downfall isn't because of the troll, but because of their unwillingness to face the uncomfortable truth that happiness doesn't come from treasure, it comes from knowing when to stop chasing. So next time you're digging for your own gold, ask yourself, what are you really after? Is it worth the cost? Because as Fool's Gold teaches us, sometimes the best thing you can do is stop digging and start living. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and remember, There's more to life than what's buried in the dark. Watch this next.